Hey guys, my name is Tristan from the CPAPstore.ca. We get a lot of questions on why CPAP machines vary in price so much. Why are some expensive over here, cheap on Amazon? Is there a difference? I think a lot of this boils down to consumer knowledge or lack thereof consumer knowledge. So today I'm going to spill the beans on the insides of the CPAP industry and talk to you about why CPAPs are so expensive in Canada and also in the US. Now I'm not going to go into like how much they cost to build and like what each government takes to have them like recognized for Health Canada and licensing fees. We're going to talk about like on the consumer side of things, why are they expensive at this store and why are they cheap at this store, okay? So firstly, we're going to talk about sleep clinics. Now, sleep clinics are the most expensive place to get sleep apnea machines, okay? So they're all across Canada. There's hundreds of them, thousands of them. I'm just gonna make up a name right now, so I'll call it Sleep Doctor. Okay, so you go to the Sleep Doctor sleep clinic, say it's a franchise all across Canada, and you go there, and oftentimes these clinics will offer a free test. Now, before I get into it, obviously their whole thing is they're gonna give you a free test, hope that you have sleep apnea. You do the sleep test, then you go back and you buy your CPAP machine there. And what they're hoping for is that when you take the sleep test and things are ambiguous and they're giving you a bunch of papers and blah, 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 you go home, you take the sleep test, you're confused. They're hoping that you're just confused, you realize you have sleep apnea, and they can kind of scare you into buying a machine or just say, hey, this is a medical device. They're pretty pricey. These ResMed machines are about $3,000, but don't worry, most of that is covered by insurance. And that's kind of their business model. Now, the reason why they are trying to justify those higher prices is because they say that they give you therapy. For example, they help you with adjusting your CPAP machine to your prescribed pressure. They help you with data management and stuff like that. A lot of that you can generally do by yourself, so you don't really need them. But of course, if you want to pay that higher premium, you can go to a sleep clinic. However, one thing to note is obviously because they have such a high margin on CPAP machines and they're trying to sell you a CPAP machine, they are going to try to justify whatever your sleep test says to say, okay, you should probably buy a CPAP machine. And we actually tested this at the CPAP store. A lot of the staff we got, cousins, uncles, dads, whatever, to go to our competitors' sleep clinics and take their sleep tests. In one instance, one of our patients went to a sleep clinic and got a test for 2 nights. The clinic refused to give them data on both nights. They just said, okay, you took the test on Thursday and Friday. Here is your results from Friday. And the patient said, well, it looks like I only have mild sleep apnea. And they said, well, you should still buy a CPAP machine. It is $3,000. And the patient said, well, how was I on the other night, Thursday? And they were like, oh, we're not going to disclose that data to you. And the patient was like, well, this is an issue because on Friday, I was out heavily drinking. So he said, I was drinking one of those nights. That's the night you gave me. So I actually don't know if I have sleep apnea or not. I would love to just cut out drinking if it means I don't go on a CPAP machine, because if the only reason I'm having apnea is because I'm drinking, that's not really a problem for me. So what did I get on the other day when I wasn't drinking? And the sleep clinic wouldn't give them that data. They were just like, no, we should probably use this data. This data says you have mild sleep apnea, you should buy a CPAP machine. So just because they're doing a test doesn't mean they always have your best interest in mind. Their business model at almost all sleep clinics across Canada is to get a referral from a doctor. Sometimes they have kind of insider partnerships with the doctor. And then you do the sleep test, which is important. It is important to do a sleep test, but their main thing is to sell you on their overpriced CPAP machines for like $2,000 or $3,000. And that's where you kind of have to push the stop button and go shop elsewhere at least before you buy a CPAP machine from one of those clinics, okay? You are allowed to take a pause and say, okay, I'll think about it and do your own research online. You don't have to buy the machine the day they call you about your sleep test scores, okay? They're gonna try to push a CPAP machine on you right then and there before you have a chance to research the machines. So just make sure that you press the pause button and you look elsewhere. Now, when I say look elsewhere, where else can you look? Well, you can look at authorized CPAP stores, such as the CPAP Store, that's us, the CPAP Store, and other e-commerce stores. So you can bring your sleep test and your prescription to these stores and say, you want to buy a machine, and they can sell you a machine, and then you can write that off with your insurance, okay? Now, within these stores, there's still a slight dodgy system when it comes to pricing, unfortunately. There's login pricing at the CPAP Store and public pricing. We are not allowed to sell below public pricing publicly from any of our vendors, okay? ResMed, Philips, F&P, whatever, we're not allowed to cut below that minimum advertisement price policy. It's one of the reasons that we are able to be an authorized vendor, okay? If we started cutting below those prices, we would no longer be an authorized vendor and we would lose our license with our suppliers. Because of that, you're gonna see public pricing and you're gonna see login pricing. And really, if you are shopping at the CPAP Store or any e-commerce site in Canada, or any e-commerce site in the States, make sure you're logging into the e-commerce site of your choice so you get the pre-applied promo codes. I can't tell you what the discounts are behind the login, but the login prices are significantly cheaper than our public prices. And that's not me trying to be greedy, okay? That I'm not trying to get people to log in so we can send them a bunch of emails and give them good discounts, and then for the unknowing victims, we charge higher prices. That's literally what we have to do to keep our licenses and to continue to be an authorized store, okay? So to summarize, you're gonna have clinics up top here. They're trying to kind of scam their way into selling an overpriced CPAP machine for like $2,000 or $3,000. Crazy stuff, okay? Then you have e-commerce stores or general authorized stores, and they're gonna have a pricing tier model. They're gonna sell CPAP for about $1,000 to $1,500 kind of thing, depending on the models and the brand and whatever, okay? So way cheaper than clinics by a long run, even if you don't log in. Now, the last place you can buy CPAP supplies in Canada or the US is through unauthorized dealers, such as Amazon. So this is kind of the Wild West. You can buy all sorts of different CPAP supplies. You can buy CPAP machines from different manufacturers that you may have never heard of before. And this, I don't want to speak too much on this, but it is kind of the Wild West. Now in this segment here, honestly, the prices are not really that much different than authorized sellers. There's no real reason to buy from places like Amazon and such when you're just talking about price. Normally people just go to a clinic, they get charged or quoted $3,000 for a CPAP machine. Obviously, the easiest thing to see is Amazon. They look on Amazon, they look for CPAPs on Amazon, and then they see $1,000 difference. They don't really see that when you log into authorized sellers, you can get CPAP machines from well-known brands for like around that price as well, right? So that's why the Amazon kind of thing exists. It's kind of the Wild West. People do buy CPAPs and supplies off places like Amazon. But honestly, you're not really saving that much money. It's just typically people will like search up that on Google first, and that's where they're gonna find things first, is on Amazon. The one downside with that is you're probably not gonna have the same quality of products on Amazon or unauthorized sellers. You don't know if things are refurbished. And lots of times on Amazon, people are just logging into authorized sellers, like I said, like logging in and getting discount codes, getting the lower prices, buying like a couple machines and then reselling them on Amazon. So you never really know where this machine is kept. You don't know where this machine is from. You don't know if it's returns from a clinic. Maybe a clinic gets a bunch of CPAP returns and they sell them on Amazon. Wild West, okay? So to summarize things up here, I'm gonna sound really, really biased, but I don't know how else to say this. The best place to find CPAP machines or supplies in Canada or in the US is to go to an e-commerce site that is an authorized dealer, or a store, like a storefront that is an authorized dealer of CPAP machines. Log in, create an account with them, or ask what their best deals are, and shop around a little bit and find a best deal on an authorized, brand new, brand name machine, like ResMed or Philips, or just a high quality brand name machine, okay? The second best place to find CPAP machines in terms of price, I guess, would be the same thing, but you don't log in, you just pay the public pricing, okay? I don't know why you do that, but I guess that's the second best way. The third best way, I guess, in terms of pricing would be the unauthorized Wild West. So if you want to go to Amazon or whatever, take your chances. By all means, do what you got to do. And then the last and final place I would ever buy a CPAP machine would be through a sleep clinic, because they're just gonna upsell you. It's gonna cost you like $2,000 or $3,000. I've heard up to $4,000 for CPAP machines that we sell for like $1,500, okay? So it's crazy. It's honestly insane. So try not to buy for a sleep clinic, even though they're gonna tell you they can set up a machine for you. We have this entire YouTube channel teaching you how to set up your machine by yourself, and it literally takes 2 seconds. Of course, in Canada, you're probably still gonna have to go to these clinics to take your initial sleep test to see if you even have sleep apnea in the first place, but just shop around before you buy one.